So granted, it is the Scottish Sun, and I see this because some people could say, well, look, Scott, they're biased, they're not a fan of Nicola Sturgeon, but, I've been misled, I've been lied to, and I've been betrayed. Now, people could say, did she say that? I'll come to that shortly. Anyway, but the title, Nicola Sturgeon says she's had worst week of her life thanks to thieving hubby. Now let's look at the reactions for a start. 3.2k laughy faces, 419 thumbs up, right? So we go to the Hay Festival, because that came up on my Facebook feed as well. Former First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, live at Hay Festival 2026 today. We'll go to the reactions. 2.2k laughy faces, 1.2k thumbs up, 470 looking less than happy. But anyway, under fair use, let me play in this.
You know, it's a deeply painful thing personally to come to terms with, and I'm only in the foothills of coming to terms with the fact that the person I was married to for a long time is somebody I clearly didn't know as well as I thought I did. Somebody who misled me, deceived me, lied to me, and put me in, considerable peril. And I think anybody, one of the things that's touched me this week is being contacted by a number of women who've, had not exactly the same experience, but have found themselves in situations where, a husband has betrayed them and shown some solidarity. But going through something like that privately is bad enough. I think what makes it so much more difficult is to go through it in the glare of publicity. I went through, and this was excruciating, a 2-year police investigation, at the end of which I was completely cleared and exonerated of any wrongdoing. But notwithstanding that, obviously...
Honestly, when you look at that bloody list... And she came out with some bullshit like, oh, well, we're both in well-paid jobs. Seriously. I've yet to meet anybody, husband or wife, that wouldn't be going like, wait a minute, how much was that? And wait a minute, meanwhile, she's got like this gallery of pens every time she's out there about, lovely watches and whatever. And, as somebody pointed out recently, like, okay, it was our mother-in-law's that camper van, like 125k camper van, honestly. Talk about depreciating assets, but as people have pointed out recently, and remember, go back to Police Scotland, nothing to see here. Seriously, people were just looking at Google, the last few years, and like, yeah, you couldn't miss that. And of course, the added detail, like there was this window right next to that van. And so I never saw it. Look, everybody that drove past saw it. You had to see it as you were going in. Or are we saying, well, actually, I was never at my mother-in-law's for the period concerned. Is that what we're saying? But anyway.
There are people this week who have been very quick to point the finger of suspicion at me,
and honestly, seriously, dear. And look, I see this to you, that some politicians may ask for an inquiry, but you know how that goes. I would argue, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, if people were armed with the information, just the knowledge that this kind of bollocks was going on before the election, because I am noticing Swinney is, well, we've got X amount of seats. Yeah, but would you have had those seats if people were furnished with the information that this individual just, surrounded by $3,000 coffee makers and, $2,500 pepper and salters and, the lawn's been apparently cut by robots, and honestly, you couldn't make this up. And here, eyepiece, just found that in my back pocket. Anyway, it's just there is no end to this insanity, but it still ties into the digital ID because it sort of validates everybody's account should be looked at 24/7. Because hey, we can't trust anybody. As opposed to, hey, can we just recognise that these people are on that socio-psychopathic scale, but they're not the majority of us. Yeah. And we should not be penalised for this ongoing shenanigans. Anyway, your thoughts?